appreciate the time. How you been, my friend?
Yeah, been great. How about you?
I've been fantastic. Has that like kind of sunk in yet? Obviously, you're a no-brainer, no doubt about it, Hall of Famer. That probably at some point in January or February, you'll get that news that you're going to be getting enshrined in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't let my mind go there too much until I was eligible, which I know that just happened recently. I was in Canton actually this year to watch Antonio Gates go into the Hall of Fame, and he was a teammate of mine with the San Diego Chargers, and have a bit of a Chargers reunion there, which was a lot of fun. Had a chance to see a lot of the Hall of Fame guys that I either played with or against, though, too. So, honestly, I guess that did, maybe bring up the thoughts of that happening someday and what that might be like. And obviously, that's a really special club and an incredible honor.
And Drew, you know this. You and Sean Payton are going to be linked forever when we look back at NFL history. Sean had a very good year last year with Bo Nix and the Broncos, getting them back to the playoffs. I know you've developed a little bit of a relationship, spending some time with Bo. People throw that out there all the time. Oh, he has his Drew Brees 2.0 now, Coach Payton, and a lot of people compare the two of you. How do you just kind of handle that, and why did you elect to help out Bo Nix and maybe serve a little bit as a mentor to him?
I feel like I have a lot of guys that reach out to me throughout the off season, at the NFL level, college level. Have developed some great relationships with guys, and always happy to help, always happy to be a mentor and help, advise them or coach them through, whatever it is that they're trying to work on. I'm a big fan of Bo Nix. Obviously he's there with my old coach, Sean Payton. It was really exciting to watch him progress last year, from the start of the season to the end. Just to continue to develop more of a comfort level with that offense and all the complexities, that it can provide. Obviously they were rolling quite a bit towards the end of the year too. And so I think going into year two, just identifying those areas where, I know for Bo, he really wanted to work on and really continue to improve and progress. You obviously watch the way they built that team now. I mean, that defense is stout, solid offensive line, great run game, big receivers to throw to, and then Bo just ready to take, his game to another level. I think they're going to be a real contender this year.
And adjustments are obviously made, right? These defensive coordinators get paid a lot of money, and you always wonder, is there going to be a little bit of a sophomore slump? As a quarterback, someone that's been through it all, right, has been counted out and then did go on to be one of the great quarterbacks of all time. Just what are those conversations like in trying to put yourself in a great position where there's not that much of a drop-off when teams do naturally adjust to you?
Well, to me, the drop off doesn't happen because people made adjustments, for you. To me, it's more so the attitude that you took into the offseason. I think a lot of guys that have really successful rookie seasons, they spend an offseason where everybody's telling them how great they are, and maybe like the desire and the motivation and the daily habits and the discipline that comes along with, being a great player year after year and showing that type of consistency and always feeling like you have something to prove. Like you have to have that mentality in everything that you do. And so regardless of how much success you had the year before, there's always another challenge to, try to knock off or accomplish, or there's always certain things about your game that must improve, like they must improve. And so I think it's more so just that mentality. What mentality did you take on that offseason? Like, did you push yourself? Did you challenge yourself? Did you really, work to get better at the things that you need to get better at? And so that's what will result, I think, in all these guys taking another step up in regards to, where they are this their second season. Also, I think for most of them, you continue to add more to your plate in regards to, how you manage a game, what you're responsible for within the framework of an offense. Obviously, every season's different. You gain players, you lose players. The division around you typically gets better, I mean, so there's always new challenges to tackle.
And that division, Drew, is loaded. Obviously, the standard is Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Jim Harbaugh's with Justin Herbert. We'll see what that looks like in year two. We see year two of Sean and Bo, and then Pete Carroll. He's still coaching, and he's got some talented players with the Raiders. I laugh, though, and this is no disrespect to the other three teams. I've heard a lot this offseason. Oh, the Chiefs are vulnerable. The Chiefs could lose the AFC West this year. And I can't sit there as long as 15 is healthy and actually envision that the Chiefs do not win the AFC West this year.
Well, I agree with you that Mahomes is such a difference maker, and whenever he's on the field, they're a favorite. You know, they won more one possession games last year than I've ever seen, and they really, to me, they never looked like they were that much better than everybody else, but they would just win. Now, I would say that the Broncos, if you recall, went into Arrowhead and went down the field and were kicking a game-winning field goal that got blocked at the end of the game. So they were right in a position to beat him. And then, unfortunately, at the end of that year, the Chiefs rested their starters, and so you didn't see a real competitive matchup. But I feel like the Broncos of all the teams in that division have really played the Chiefs tough. They've always played them tough. Defensively, I feel like they've always gotten after Mahomes a little bit, even though the Chiefs have found a way to win. I just don't think the Chiefs have, or the Broncos have had the firepower on offense recently until now to really combat that. But I think there's definitely an argument to be made that they're if there's a time to do it, it's now. There's a time to make that push to become the big dog in that division.
Talking about firepower on offense, the Vikings have a ton of it. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison after the suspension, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, and then today they trade back for an old friend in Adam Thielen. A lot of questions on JJ McCarthy, and I think he's in a great situation. What do you kind of expect out of him as if he has his health, this will be his first year starting at quarterback for Minnesota?
Look, QB's best friend, great defense and great run game. Look, I love Kevin O'Connell. I love his system. I like the way that he's, just his demeanor in running that team. Those guys really seem to respect him and respond to him. Look, we don't know what we have in JJ McCarthy yet, right? I mean, the guy hasn't started an NFL game. He's looked good in the preseason, but obviously coming off an injury but he's got pieces around him. And so at the end of the day, I think it's just trust the system. Don't try to do too much. Just take it one step at a time. You got a great defense. You got a lot of pieces around you. Just be a great game manager, a great distributor of the ball. When you have opportunities to make plays, make plays. But they play in a tough division. For them, right? They got the Packers contender, Lions contender. Bears trying to get over the hump. Obviously, with their first round pick, Caleb Williams from last year. So, you know, across the board, there's no easy there's no easy lunch. So we'll see how that plays out for them, but I think they got a lot of good pieces in place.
What do you think the year two response is going to be for Caleb Williams with the Bears now getting teamed up with Ben Johnson?
Well, I mean, everybody would tell you how talented Ben Johnson is. I mean, you can see that just from what he did last year. I love his swagger. I think he's definitely brought that to the team. Um, Look, the Bears have, I think, always had that reputation as, man, we play tough defense, and then offensively, it's just been fairly inconsistent. But now you have this quarterback who can do so many unique things, and he's got some playmakers around him, and now you've got this offensive mind that can really help, kind of dream it all up and coordinate it. And so, look, they've with all those other teams in the NFC North, they've been kind of sitting at the bottom here for a little bit, and I think it's their time to say, all right, we've been flying under the radar. It's time for us to, make a move here. But man, each and every divisional game in that division is so vital.
I want to get your take, and we'll talk about Abbott in just a second. Drew Brees here with us for a few more moments on the Zach Gelb Show. I think the biggest story entering this NFL season, it's wild to say it because he's a third-string quarterback right now, is when is Shedeur Sanders going to play? Joe Flacco's going to start the year. Dylan Gabriel, a third-round pick, who had a very good college career, is the second-string quarterback. The whole hype around Shedeur reminds me a lot of like the following that Tim Tebow had all those years ago when he was in the NFL. Just what do you think the conversations are like in the locker room, and what do you think Shedeur could eventually be whenever he gets that opportunity to quarterback games?
Well, the first thing I'd say is I think the best thing for any young quarterback is to be able to sit behind a veteran guy. And look, Joe Flacco has played a ton of football, and he's played it at a high level. And he's been kind of one of these guys that's been brought into various situations, just to help, kind of right the ship and win games. So I think it's great that these two young quarterbacks in Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel have the chance to sit behind and watch and observe a guy like that, just operate, because he's been doing it for a long time. He's got a ton of knowledge and wisdom. Those are two talented young quarterbacks, and it's only a matter of time before they get their opportunity. And so for them, it's, man, be the best teammate that you can be, work your tail off, Do everything you can to continue to grow and develop. Be ready for your opportunity because you never know when it comes. And when it does, you may only get limited opportunities, limited shots. So be ready.
Now it's Arch Manning's time at Texas. They opened up the season with a big one up against Ohio State at the end of the season. If he gets through the whole season as the starter and is healthy, how do you think we're talking about Arch Mannin?
Well, there's so much hype around this guy, and I feel like I know him pretty well just because my kids in New Orleans went to the same school as Arch Manning. I watched Arch Manning play in high school.
Wow.
And you could tell from the time he was a freshman in high school that he's got a lot of traits, and obviously you look at the family lineage and it all makes sense, right? But look, I think he's been guided. I think he's been guided well. I think he went to a great program in the University of Texas with a great coach in Steve Sarkisian. Obviously a place that really, really loves their football. I grew up in Austin, Texas. I used to go to Texas games, walk down the street and sit in the bleachers, so like I know that atmosphere, and I know the way they, try to set you up for success. I think for him, it's just trust the process. Don't be distracted by all of this attention and all this other stuff, man. You just focus on the job at hand, being the greatest teammate you can be to your team. You've got a ton of talent around you, continue to grow and develop. Value the knowledge and experience that you can gain. I wouldn't be quick to get out, even if he has a phenomenal year. I wouldn't be quick to get out of the University of Texas. I mean, I think stay there another year. Get as much of this experience under your belt. Because look, you're playing in the SEC too. I mean, you're playing against some of the best talent. These are the guys that you're going to see at the next level anyway, right? In other words, don't be in a rush to get out of college. Value the opportunity to gain this experience. The guys that have the best chance for success in the NFL at the quarterback position are guys that were multi-year starters in college, right? Bo Nix, 61 starts. Brock Purdy, 50 some odd starts. Joe Burrow transfers and gets two great years. Jaden Daniels, Arizona State, gets 2 great years. Like all these guys that are having success in the NFL now, even if they were transfers, were having, lots and lots of success or lots of experience.
Now, if the Saints have the #1 overall pick this year, would you change that tune and see Arch in New Orleans?
I think that's what the fans want, But I want to see New Orleans and the Saints have a ton of success this year with, Spencer Rattler, and if it's Tyler Shuck at some point, whoever it is, man, I want to see these guys succeed.
Tell me what you're doing today with the fine folks at Abbott.
Yeah, this is awesome. So Global Healthcare Leader Abbott and Big Ten Conference have put together this Give Blood Drive campaign to really help raise awareness around giving blood. I think a lot of people don't recognize just how important that is and how we're really in a national blood shortage right now. And so the more blood that we can give, the better. Every 2 seconds in the U.S., somebody needs blood. Your blood donation can save up to 3 lives, which is incredible to think about. Basically, what's better than to turn that into a competition as well amongst all the Big Ten schools? So we're encouraging everybody to give blood, but if you have an affiliation with a Big Ten school, you can go give blood at a blood center and then go and register that blood donation at big10.org/Abbott. And the school that donates the most blood will receive $1 million towards student and healthcare initiatives around the university. So really a tremendous campaign and encouraging everybody to go out and give blood.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that info with us today and also coming on the show. Thanks so much, Drew. Be well.
You guys, Zach. Thanks.